Okay, so today we're looking at maybe the definition of a set it and forget it device. We're really getting into the weeds with the DEEBOT X11 OmniCyclone. It's one of these newer robot vacuum and mop hybrids, and it seems to promise a lot in terms of hands-off cleaning.
That's exactly it. Let's start maybe with the foundation,
Yeah.
the power. Because power here, it's directly tied to how well it actually works day to day. Okay, power. Let's talk numbers. ECOVACS is pushing this blast system hard. We see this huge suction figure, 19,500 pen. But what does that number actually mean for someone with, say, a couple of pets and some rugs?
Right. It's not just a small jump from the usual, like, 5,000 pen we see on mid-range bots. Well, it's a significant step up. Think of it as the difference between just skimming the surface and really getting down into the carpet fibers to lift out that fine ground and dust or, stubborn pet hair. The 100-watt fan plus the airflow design, it's all about getting that deep clean stuff previous generations might need two passes for. The idea is one pass, done.
Okay, that makes the big number feel more concrete. Now, the mopping side, that's also seen tons of changes recently. They've got this OZMO Roller 2.0, a continuous scrubbing thing. But the real kicker seems to be the hot water in the dock.
hmm This is where the X11 starts to feel, well, genuinely premium. The dock actually washes the mop roller with 75 degrees C hot water. And that's not just warm, that's proper hot. It's key for sanitizing and breaking down greasy stuff or dried-on stains without just relying on cleaning solutions. Then it dries the roller too at 63 degrees C, which is super important to stop mildew and odors. That was a major pain point with older hybrids, wasn't it?
75 degrees Celsius. Wow. That's like industrial level cleaning for a little roller. Okay,
Yeah.
we're talking serious pampering for a robot. But hang on, all this power, the massive suction, the heating, that's got to be a huge battery drain. How does it avoid stopping constantly to recharge mid-clean?
See, that's where they put some thought into the operational flow. They're using PowerBoost, which relies on GaN fast charging tech. For anyone maybe not familiar, GaN, gallium nitride, it's this semiconductor stuff that lets you charge way faster and more efficiently than old silicon chargers, and it's smaller too.
Right, gauging chargers. You see those for phones and laptops now. So they put that inside the robot's dock. How does that actually play out during a clean?
It creates this really neat synergy. Okay, so the robot has a pretty beefy 67400 millihar battery, we're going to say, but the key is the quick pit stop. If it needs to go back mid-job, maybe to rinse the mop or empty the dustbin, it can grab about 6% extra charge in just the 3 minutes or so it's docked for that maintenance task. So this smart charging cycle means no more of those super long, annoying recharge breaks that used to kill the momentum. Reviewers definitely notice this. It makes the whole process feel much more continuous, especially in bigger houses.
Okay, that's actually quite clever. It's maximizing uptime.
Right.
Let's shift from power to physical movement. How does it handle the edges? That mist strip along the baseboard is always a complaint.
They went right after that problem. It's called True Edge 3.0, or Extreme Edge Cleaning. And it's not just a fancy name, there's a physical suspension system. It actually lets the mop roller kind of push outwards and cushion itself right up against the wall. They say it gets the gap down to about 15 millimeters.
15 millimeters, that's tiny. And that's measurable, which is why reviewers seem to really latch onto it as a big practical improvement, right? Means you're not having to go around with a cloth afterwards quite so often.
Exactly. And the other big physical challenge is like thresholds and transitions between rooms. Where bots just get beached. If you've got thick rugs or those raised bits between, say, tile and wood, bots get stuck. So the X11 tries to solve this with something called the TruePass Adaptive 4WD Climbing System.
Adaptive 4WD.
Yeah.
Okay, what kind of obstacles can that actually handle compared to a standard robot?
It can apparently clear thresholds up to 4 centimeters. That's roughly, 1.57 inches? Which perspective-wise covers pretty much any standard door jamb and even those quite chunky transition strips. Reviewers definitely said this made a huge difference in reducing those robot is stuck notifications. A big relief if your house isn't perfectly flat.
Okay, so it's got the muscle and the climbing gear. Now let's layer on the brain. All this physical ability needs smart navigation, AIVI 3D.
Yeah, that's ECOVACS AI system. And the key thing here with AIVI 3D is it's not just basic object avoidance, like just seeing a blob and stopping. It's object recognition, so it doesn't just see something in its path. It tries to figure out what it is, like a dropped charging cable, maybe a sock, or, a pet mess, and then it can actually plan a path around it instead of just bumping into it, or worse.
Okay. That's a potential fix for the dreaded cable chewing incidents.
Yeah.
Good. They also talk about Agent Yiko, the AI assistant. Is that actually helpful or just another voice command gimmick?
Well, the intent is for it to be helpful over time. Yico is meant to learn your specific house layout, recognize objects you have, and maybe even adapt cleaning suggestions based on patterns it sees. It's still early days for that kind of AI learning in robots, but the potential is there for it to get smarter and more efficient the longer you use it, theoretically.
Right. But the real test of autonomy, the true hands-off dream, often comes down to the docking station and maintenance. If this thing is really about zero daily chores, that dock needs to tackle the biggest hassle: dust bags. How does the OmniCyclone station deal with that?
This is probably the X11's standout feature, I'd say, the OmniCyclone station. It uses, well, cyclone separation, think like some high-end stick vacuums to empty the robot's bin automatically. It spins the dirt out using centrifugal force. This means no disposable dust bags needed, and it helps prevent the filters from clogging up so fast.
Okay, so no buying bags. That saves money, reduces waste. That was a universal thumbs up from reviewers, wasn't it? The convenience and cost saving of bagless.
Absolutely. That came up again and again. A major pro for just ease of use and long-term running costs. Definitely a win.
But autonomy isn't total freedom, is it? The station handles the dry stuff, the dust, but there's still the wet stuff. You still have to do something.
That's the catch. You still need to be involved with the water. You have to refill the clean water tank and, crucially, empty out the dirty water tank. Based on testing reviewers did, you're probably looking at doing that about once a week with typical use. So it handles the daily grind, but that weekly check-in is still on you.
And that bagless convenience, while great for the wallet, it does bring up another point, a potential downside for some people.
Yeah, the allergy issue. Because it's using that cyclone separation into a container, not a sealed bag, when you go to empty that main station dustbin maybe once a week, you do risk releasing some of that fine dust back into the air. The reviews definitely mention this could be a negative for people with serious dust allergies or sensitivities. They might actually prefer a bag system, even with the extra cost, just for that contained disposal. It's a key thing to consider for your own home.
Okay, got it. So we've covered the tech, the performance claims, the maintenance ups and downs. Let's try and pull it all together. Synthesizing the reviews, what's the final verdict on this self-sufficiency promise? What were the real highlights and the consistent complaints?
Overall, the feedback was definitely leaning positive. Very strong, in fact. Big tech sites were calling the X11 highly self-sufficient. They loved the minimal daily input needed apart from the water tanks. The combination of strong vacuuming and that effective hot water mop wash got a lot of praise. And the obstacle recognition, the AIVI 3D, seemed pretty reliable.
Oh, and that 4-centimeter threshold, climbing reviewers saw that as a really practical plus.
But it's never perfect, especially with complex robots in messy real-world homes. Or the snags. The areas reviewers consistently pointed out needed work. The main one that cropped up, Notebook Check mentioned it and others too, was about pathing efficiency. While it generally navigated well, there were times it seemed to take, let's say, a slightly scenic route. Especially in really complicated rooms with lots of furniture or multiple zones. So the robot's smart, definitely, but maybe not always the most efficient route planner. You might still need to tweak the map in the app sometimes to get the absolute best performance. It cleans well, just might take a bit longer than seems logical sometimes.
And there was this.
Yeah.
Okay, lastly, the elephant in the room for any flagship tech. The price and the noise.
Right. This is definitely a premium flagship device. And the price absolutely reflects all that integrated tech. The hot water, the fast charging, the bagless station, the 4WD. That's the cost of aiming for near total automation. And the trade-off for all that work is, noise. When it's going full tilt, max suction, mopping, and especially when the station is doing its cleaning cycles, like washing the mop, it can get pretty loud. Reviewers noted the mop washing in particular is quite noticeable, probably not something you want running right next to you while you're trying to relax. So, to wrap it up, the main takeaway is that DEEBOT X11 OmniCyclone really does push the boundaries of robot autonomy. That integration of fast charging, bagless emptying, hot water mopping, it's impressive, but you have to weigh that really high price tag and the fact you still have that water tank duty against how much you value getting rid of almost all the other daily cleaning chores.
That sums it up nicely. And thinking about the future, the source has mentioned it supports Matter, the smart home standard. Now, given those occasional pathing issues reviewers found, what potential does future software, maybe deeper Matter integration, hold? Could that eventually smooth out those navigation quirks completely? Will smarter home integration make these things truly seamless, moving from just very smart to something more? And how long before that impressive 4-centimeter climbing is just standard, expected on every bot. Just something to think about as you weigh up your options in the smart cleaning world.